don't go!
I'm sorry, sweetheart, but you'll have to forget about me.
Why? Did you start to hate me?
It's not that, but I've found someone more important than you and your father.
My name is Mayumi Sato, and I'm a 16-year-old high school student. This time, I'm going to tell you about the grim end of the woman who used to be my mother. The story goes back about 5 years ago. At that time, I was still in the 5th grade of elementary school. My family consisted of me, mom, and dad. At the time, dad had just started a small business. To be honest with you, he wasn't making much of a living at all. We weren't poor, but the family budget was definitely lower than average. We couldn't afford any luxuries most of the time. Our groceries mainly consisted of clearance items. We didn't eat out, and we lived a rather frugal life. At the time, I had a good friend at school. She was a classmate of mine, and her name was Yuka Naito. We stayed over at each other's houses rather often, had nice barbecues with our family, and spent every day together like we were sisters. I wish I was a twin with you, Mayumi! For real! Let's stay together forever, okay? My family may not have had much money, but as a child, I had food to eat, a school to go to, and friends to play with every day. That was more than enough for me. But then one day, when I came home after school, I'm home, Mom!
Mayumi? Why are you home so early?
Huh? It said on the handout that we only had school in the morning today, didn't it?
Oh, that's right.
My mother, who usually greets me with that beautiful smile of hers, was sweating profusely and panicking. And then, from the back room, I saw... What? Oh, Papa Yuka?
Hey, Mayumi dear.
For some reason, Yuka's father was at my house. I remember him being just as flustered as my mother.
I had some business to take care of, and I was in the area, so I stopped by.
Yes, darling. He just happened to drop in.
Oh, really? Oh, since we're coming home early today, maybe we're gonna have dinner together?
Yeah, actually, we were planning it as a surprise, but I completely forgot about it. We want to be a secret from Yuka and her mother, Mayumi, so could you play the quiet game about finding us here?
Got it! In retrospect, it was a clumsy way of deceiving what seems obviously suspicious now, but I was an elementary school student at the time, and I believed what they said. My mother probably thought she was taking advantage of my misunderstanding, but if you think about it logically, if she was planning a surprise, it would be strange not to consult Yuka's mother. But anyway, it was decided we would have a curry party at my house that day, and it was a very fun night. However, a few weeks after this incident, I was sleeping at home in the middle of the night when I was woken up by Father's screaming voice.
What were you thinking?
Hey, you're speaking too loudly. Mayumi's going to wake up.
It was rarer for my kind father to raise his voice than it was to find a 20-carat diamond in a mine. I immediately sensed that something was up. I sneaked over to the living room where they were arguing and eavesdropped.
All things considered, though, we have the father of Mayumi's classmate?
I can't help it. I've fallen in love with him.
The hell do you mean, you can't help it? He has a family too, you know.
He said he would divorce her and be with me, and I want to do the same.
What on earth are you dissatisfied with?
I mean, come on. You have only the title of CEO and make literal peanuts. Yuka's mother always wears fashion brands, never dares to buy clearance items, and wears makeup every day. You have no idea how embarrassed I feel all the goddamn time.
I feel sorry about that, truly. But you could help out a little, you know? Could even get a part-time job.
Anyway, I've had enough of this life.
That's what it was about in a nutshell. If I may melt away any lingering confusion, my mother was having an affair with Yuka's father. Of course, I didn't fully understand what was going on at the time, but I understood that my mother had done something wrong and that my father was angry about it. Since then, the atmosphere in our house has been like actual hell. Both my parents were in a mood of hatred and disdain, and they were at each other's throats almost every night. Hey, Dad, can't you make up with Mom?
Guess there's no way you don't hear us every night, sweetie. You're worrying about us? I'm so sorry. It might be difficult to patch things up, to be honest.
I'm on your side, Dad.
Oh, Mayumi.
I said I was on his side because I thought the cause of the whole situation was Mom.
Are you kidding me? You can't be serious. That fricker got a lawyer and is demanding alimony. That goddamn bastard! And I wanted to demand alimony from you anyhow!
Mom? Where are you going?
Why do you care, eh?
There were days when she was just so demonically irritated, and she went out before Dad came home and sometimes didn't come back until the next morning. Telling me to believe that kind of mother and follow her is like telling a Christian to believe in evolution. And while Dad was at work, Mom decided to pack her things and run away from home. I tried to stop her, but she answered my pleas. Mom, don't go!
I'm sorry, sweetheart, but you'll have to forget about me.
Why? Did you start to hate me?
It's not that. It's not that. But I've found someone more important than you and your father.
Perhaps love leaves people senseless, for she left behind the most traumatic words a child can hear and left the house. Now that I think about it, I'm certain she wanted to escape any demands of alimony. And Yuka's dad also ran away, leaving his wife and daughter behind. And the two of them were never seen again. An affair leading to a clean getaway. That sort of thing might sound romantic in the world of fiction, but in reality, as someone who was straight up abandoned, I can only feel astounded at such selfishness.
Ha!
Dad?
Mayumi, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for things to come to this.
It's okay, Dad. Mom was so angry every day and yelled at us, and...
Oh, sweetheart.
I'll always be on your side, okay, Dad? 5 years have passed since then, and now I'm in high school. It seems like such a long time ago that my mother left home.
Hey, I'm having trouble deciding which tie to wear. Red or blue?
Red seems too flashy, so I think blue is better.
Isn't it too plain though?
Plain is fine. You're not going on stage after all.
I guess you're right.
Got an interview coming up?
I'm getting really nervous.
Pull yourself together, Mr. Spirited Entrepreneur carrying future generations on your shoulders.
Stop with that name, honey.
Aw, come on. That's what they all call you nowadays. Anyway, do your best. Yes, indeed, my father's business did splendidly well after Mom left. Somewhat ironically.
Actually, we were in the middle of selling our technology to various companies. By chance, we caught the eye of a certain MoniRobo holdings and landed a big contract. I guess the fact that we signed a contract with them exploded our reputation.
I don't really get it, but still, that's amazing! I'm so proud of you!
Thank you. I'm so happy to see you so glad, sweetie.
Dad's steady efforts have paid off humongously, and now he's the president of a billion-dollar enterprise. The company grew, the number of employees increased, the company office became quite huge, and my father's business began to appear in various places. As I said in the previous messages, his fame became enough to be interviewed for business magazines. My life also changed drastically, moving from a small apartment to a very nice condominium. A single house is too big for two people, after all. And even a 3 LDK room is too big for us. But my father went ahead and bought it because he thought that one day when I get married, I might live here with my husband. The relationship between father and daughter is also darn near perfect. I feel like our familial bond has gone stronger since Mom left us. By the way, in case you were wondering, Yuka and I became estranged after the incident with my mother and her father. It's not that Yuka is to blame, nor I, but the awkwardness between us became too much to bear. I'm sure it was the same for her, but when we moved, there was a letter in the mailbox addressed to me. Mayumi, we'll always be best friends. I hope you'll be happy, even if we'll be far away from each other now. I cried when I read the letter. I hurriedly wrote a response to her letter and sent it to her house. We haven't had any correspondence since then, but I still treasure the letter Yuka gave me that day a long time ago. This is delicious! Is it really okay to be this happy every day?
Of course, sweetie. I want you to be happy for the rest of your life.
And that goes for you too, Dad. If you find a good woman, it's okay to remarry, you know.
I'm freaking done with marriage, sweetie.
I'll head on over after school today. Do you need anything?
Nothing in particular, thanks.
Are you sure? Do you have enough clothes?
Yeah, sure. But more importantly, you know you don't have to come to visit so often. I can't help but feel that I'm robbing a Hana no Joshi University student of so much if she goes to the hospital after class.
I do it because I want to, Dad. Don't you worry.
What did I do to deserve you? I have no regrets. Just kidding.
Dad, that's not funny.
Sorry, I'm joking.
Anyway, I'll come by in the evening.
I'll be waiting.
Dad was diagnosed with cancer. To make matters worse, he was in the terminal stage. We can only exchange messages like this on days when he's feeling well enough to pick up his phone. And on days when he can't, he stays in bed all day and has difficulty talking. He is still in his late 40s, but the disease progressed quickly, and I spent weeks seeing him getting weaker day by day.
Don't worry about your life after I'm gone. I've made arrangements so that you won't be inconvenienced by anything.
I don't need that kind of concern, Dad. Just hang in there a little longer. I'll never forgive you if you don't walk me down the aisle at my wedding.
Oh, it should be on the safe side.
That was quite the optimistic conversation. For a week after that, his condition suddenly deteriorated, and he wound up crossing the river Styx. He'd worked so hard to make his business flourish, and just when it was finally on the rise, death stepped in. God can truly be cruel sometimes. Dad arranged for his most trusted subordinate, the vice president, to take over the company, and my aunt was to take on the role of my guardian. My aunt was always looking out for me even after Mom left. She was like a true mother to me. However, she is now my legal guardian, but I will soon be an adult. Dad really took so many measures to ensure I would be okay when he was gone. I cried so much at his funeral. I cried and cried and cried so much that I don't even remember how I even survived that experience. But with the support of my beloved aunt, I somehow managed to recover. I'm still in mourning, but I'll be able to go back to school in a few weeks. If I cried any more than I already have, Dad in heaven would cry himself. But then one day, I got a message from Yuka. Just in case, I had included my contact information in my response to her letter so that we could contact each other if something happened. It's been too long, Mayumi. I just heard about your father. I'm so sorry. Thank you, Yuka. It really has been too long. Anything the matter? My father came to our house the other day and by father, you don't mean... Yes, I do mean that, bastard. What did he want? He said that the company he worked for went bankrupt and he came to borrow money from Mom. And he spilled a couple of beans, saying what I heard as, my wife's looking for her daughter. Huh? I heard that she divorced my father just the other day, actually. What? I don't know all the details, but the point is that she wants to know where you are. Is that so? Damn. Thank you so much for letting me know. By the way, what did your mother say to him? She flew into a rage, let me tell you. That's awesome. Oh shoot, I almost forgot. I've been meaning to thank you for replying to my letter all those years ago. It's because of you writing down your contact information that I got the chance to talk like this with you again. And wow, am I so happy we are. And thank you for contacting me. I hated when we became estranged. It felt so lonely. Let's go out for coffee sometime. I have years worth of stories that I want you to listen to. So do I. I never thought that thanks to those dickheads, I would be able to reconnect with Yuka. And that made me really happy for the first time in a while. But the fact my mother was looking for me was a really troublesome story to hear. Mainly because the reason she was looking for me was crystal clear. After all, I inherited all of my father's estate. I probably have enough assets to never have to work in my life if I don't live extravagantly. And in addition to that, Dad also took out a huge amount of insurance on himself. And apparently, he passed that money on to my grandparents and aunt. He truly was a kind and considerate father. Someone to be really proud of. I found this out when I was chatting with Yuka, but my mother dumped him after he lost his job. He's also been demanding alimony and can't keep up with the mountains of debt on his shoulders. For that bitch, men are nothing more than walking ATMs, and the freaking contempt I have far exceeds my anger. Anyone would know Dad was successful if you read his interviews in all those business magazines. No matter what, there was nothing to talk about with her, and I thought I'd never see her face again, but... Oh, Mayumi! How I've missed you! You've grown so much! I don't know how she found out, but she barged into my house. If you didn't know all the background context,
You would think this was a moving story about a mother finding her long-lost grown-up daughter. She's a good actress. I'll give the bitch that. But I didn't feel like piling on the charades. Instead, I just told her directly. And? The hell do you want?
Nothing at all. I just wanted to see you.
Shut up with that bullshit and tell me what you want.
I heard about your father. I'm so sorry. I wanted to attend the funeral too, but I only found out about the whole thing recently.
Oh, really? Thanks for the condolences. Now then, now that your business here is over, you can leave now. Dad would not want to see you anyway. I showed her the coldest attitude I could muster, outright saying she was not welcome. But I knew well she isn't the kind of woman to go home just like that.
Mayumi, I think we should go back to being mother and daughter again. You can't survive on your own from now, can you?
I have auntie, so it ain't a problem. And you forget how old your daughter is, don't you? She'll be an adult soon, socially speaking.
But it's better for her to have a mother, right?
Maybe. And that mother had an affair with her daughter's classmate's father and then chickened away into oblivion. As soon as her daughter inherited a huge estate, she came crawling back.
How dare you? To your own mother?
You're not my freaking mother! Get out! I'll call the police!
Please, sweetheart, listen to me.
Don't say I didn't warn you. I told her how I really felt, but she still wouldn't dare back down. So I was about to call the police on my phone when she finally left the house. But in the end...
If you change your mind, call me at this number.
She left a piece of paper with her phone number written on it. Of course, I had no intention of calling her. One day, when I had returned from university, my father's house and mine had been ransacked, and my father's expensive watches and paintings had been stolen. Of course, I called the police, but I knew who the culprit was. I called the number I swore never to call. And well, I have something important to tell you. Please come to the cafe near my house. You know which one I'm talking about. Of course, the culprit was my mother, so I called her to the cafe and met her there. As usual, I cut straight to the point and held nothing back. Give it all back.
Give what back?
You know what I mean. You stole Dad's personal belongings. They can't be turned into money. They are his precious heirlooms.
Oh, they were stolen? My, that's terrible. I'm sorry, but it wasn't me.
If you're honest with me, I won't call the police as a token of sympathy.
You're free to call them. More importantly, you got any proof that says I did it in the first place?
The bitch tried playing dumb. Toxic or not, she is my mother after all. So I gave her one last chance at mercy and sympathy before calling the police. But if she comes with that kind of attitude, to hell with good intentions. I showed my mother the screen of my phone.
How do you have that?
Duh. This is footage from one of a few security cameras. These days, these suckers are small and hard to notice. The screen showed a clear image of my mother rummaging through Dad's room. The footage perfectly captured her stealing a clock and a painting too. To be honest, I had imagined that my mother would resort to such a course of action. That day, after my mother left, I noticed that the house key that I always left at the front door was gone. My father always left the house key there, and it was still there. This habit hadn't changed since my mother was still my mother, if you know what I mean. And she probably realized when she was leaving that was the house key. I don't know if it was a moment of impulse or not, but she secretly took the key with her. After noticing she'd stolen the key, I decided to take a slew of countermeasures. Well, it shouldn't come to that, but would be nice to set a trap to exact revenge in the final inning. I pretended not to notice that the key had been stolen and left the locks as they were without changing them. I also set up a few security cameras overlooking a bunch of valuables. As expected, she broke in. If I took this to the police, she would definitely be arrested. And knowing this, she visibly started to panic. It was like the day I first discovered her affair.
I'm sorry. I'm really struggling to make ends meet.
Why would you, who siphoned money out of Yuka's father, ever have trouble making ends meet? You're even demanding alimony from him, aren't you? If that's the case, you wouldn't be struggling for a while. You're still young and healthy enough to work anyhow.
Listen, Well,
Doesn't matter anyway. There's no point in arguing here. So let me hear what you have to say in court.
I'll give you back the things I stole. Please, not the police.
I told you at the beginning, didn't I? If you're honest with me, I won't call the police as a token of sympathy.
Then you'll forgive me?
No, my merciful soul was lost to the abyss the first time you lied. As a matter of fact, I already called them when I got up to go to the bathroom, and the police came at the perfect time.
Mayumi, I love you. Let's start over. Please forgive me.
Goodbye, Mom. The wailing banshee was taken away. After that, she was indicted and found guilty, and because the things she stole were expensive, probation just didn't cut it as a viable sentence and would serve in prison, albeit a short time. Like I could give even less of a furry crack of a rat's ass. Sorry, Dad. I may have gone a bit overboard, but if I wanted to cut ties with that stupid woman, this was the only way. Mayumi! Are these flowers okay? They're perfect! Thank you! By the way, my ex-father ended up borrowing money from a loan shark and disappeared from society.
What?
Once, a dangerous-looking person came to our house asking if we had know where he was. But Mom told him we didn't know because we had cut off all ties with him and sent him away. What a warrior, your mom! But it'll be too late if you get in trouble, so do come talk to me if and when something happens, okay? Sure! Since then, Yuka and I have been able to get back to the relationship we had before. I lost my father, and this couldn't make me any happier. Just you wait, Dad. I'm going to be so happy from now on.